Hey everybody, welcome back to the Confident Speaking Podcast. I'm Jessica, your host for today's session, and I'm truly excited to have you join me. If you're eager to go beyond the standard textbook approach to English and genuinely communicate like a native speaker, then you've definitely come to the right place. Our goal is to help you not only learn the English language, but to experience it fully, to live, breathe, and speak it with naturalness and self-assurance every single day. And for those of you who are discovering our podcast for the first time, I encourage you to subscribe right away. You absolutely won't want to miss out on our regular, practical English learning content. It often surprises my students to learn that speaking with clarity, fluency, and confidence wasn't always a simple task for me. Yes, I'm a native English speaker, and yes, I'm an English teacher with over 5 years of experience, specializing in fluency development. However, those skills didn't automatically come to me, either in my second language or even in English. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I'm just too shy to speak confidently, or I'll never be as confident as others? Or perhaps you've heard someone speak and thought, wow, she speaks so quickly and fluently. Why can't I do that? If I slow down, I'll seem less fluent, and my coworkers will lose interest. I need to speak faster. Maybe you've worried that others will think you're foolish for stumbling over words or forgetting the perfect term. Earlier, I have had all of those thoughts, both when speaking my second language and when speaking English. But then I realized that these beliefs, the things I was telling myself, were actually myths. A myth is simply a false belief. Once I discovered the truth, it completely transformed my perspective. It changed my learning strategies, my motivation to practice, and my ability to improve my speaking skills. Most importantly, it boosted my confidence, the confidence to persevere. This holds true for both my second language and my native tongue, native English. In today's lesson, I want to guide you in becoming a confident English speaker by distinguishing between myth and reality and providing practical steps you can take to enhance your confidence and fluency in English. Now, I want to debunk 5 common myths about fluency and confidence and highlight the truth so you can progress and move forward. When we hold on to myths, those false beliefs, they hinder our progress. But it doesn't have to be that way. By understanding what's true and having practical action steps, you can move forward with confidence. So, here are the 5 myths we'll be exploring today. First, some people are naturally confident speakers. Second, fluent English always means fast English. Third, confident speakers never need to ask for clarification. Fourth, confident speakers never experience setbacks and rarely make mistakes. And fifth, you either have confidence or you don't. Let's start with myth number 1. Some people are naturally confident speakers. I believed this myth for many years because my husband is an extrovert who seems completely at ease speaking with anyone, and he always projects confidence, both in English and in his second language. It used to make me envious, but not anymore. Like me, you might think that certain people, like extroverts, are naturally confident speakers due to inherent personality traits. Extroverts are often described as outgoing, energetic, and conversational. Because of this myth, another myth might arise, that introverts can't be confident when speaking. Introverts are often associated with characteristics like shyness, reserve, and withdrawal. However, that's not always the case. There are many introverts who enjoy being around people and feel comfortable in certain situations. The main difference is that introverts tend to think before they speak, while extroverts tend to think out loud.
The reality is that introverts can absolutely be fully confident, fluent, and speak with exceptional clarity in any situation. I know this is true because I am naturally shy and introverted, and I work with numerous students from around the world who are also shy and introverted in both their native and non-native languages, and yet they develop these skills. I want to help you develop clarity, fluency, and confidence. So here's a practical approach to help you speak with confidence regardless of the situation. Leverage your natural skills as an introvert to your advantage. Even if you don't consider yourself an introvert in your native language, you might experience some of those feelings in English due to anxiety when speaking. The advice I'm about to share applies in both contexts. The natural ability here is to capitalize on thinking before you speak. By giving yourself time, you can organize your thoughts and be better prepared to share them confidently with others. This skill is used by many powerful public speakers, including many who are introverts. Here's how you can practice this in real life. Whenever possible, take time to prepare or organize your thoughts in advance. This means taking time to think through any upcoming discussion, perhaps jotting down some notes, and practicing saying them aloud. Practicing beforehand helps you become more comfortable with your voice and the words you'll be using. Doing this in advance enables you to express your thoughts more clearly and organize them more effectively. That preparation time provides an opportunity for reflection, free from interruption or judgment. It's a valuable period to formulate your thoughts before verbalizing them. This can be incredibly beneficial. For instance, if you're getting ready for a job interview or attending a meeting, whether it's a professional setting, a volunteer gathering, or even a book club discussion, and you already know the topics that will be covered, you have a distinct advantage. Even in the midst of a spontaneous conversation, you can deliberately pause to leverage those brief moments to structure your upcoming statement. Avoid trying to map out everything you want to say for the next 20 minutes. Instead, focus on planning just the immediate thought, then the next, and so on. This strategy encourages you to embrace small pauses during your speech, providing moments to breathe and to organize your next idea, ultimately alleviating pressure. Now, if you're concerned about incorporating pauses into your speech to give yourself thinking time, you might use a filler phrase to gain some extra time. For instance, you could say, "Just give me a moment to consider that," or "Could we revisit that in a moment? I need a quick second to think it through." At this point, you might be thinking two things. First, confident English, we don't always have the luxury of preparation time. And second, I'm not convinced that pauses will actually help. They might just make me sound slow. I'm going to address both of those concerns. First, you're correct. We don't always have time to prepare. However, we have more opportunities for preparation than we often realize. And consistent speaking practice, including dedicated practice sessions, enhances your ability to speak spontaneously and effectively. Now, let's address that second concern, the fear that pauses will make me sound slow. This leads me to myth number 2. Fluent speakers are always fast speakers, without exception. This is a widespread misconception, often reinforced by English-speaking TV shows and sitcoms, where characters may speak at an unnaturally rapid pace for dramatic or comedic purposes. And while it's true that many English speakers speak very quickly, that doesn't necessarily equate to effective communication. In fact, they might speak so rapidly that even native English speakers struggle to understand everything they're saying.
Let me reiterate that. Yes, some English speakers do speak very fast, but that doesn't make them good communicators. In fact, some other native English speakers might not understand anything that they say. Whew, that's really hard for me to do, and did it sound clear, confident, and fluent to you? It definitely sounded fast, but was it good communication? No. The truth is, fluency is about smooth, natural, and clear communication, with you in control. When I was speaking extremely quickly just now, I didn't feel in control. My mind felt chaotic, and I was aware that I was likely making errors in my speech, but I couldn't catch or correct them because I wasn't allowing myself time to organize my thoughts and carefully consider my words. Again, fluency is about smooth, natural, clear communication with you in control. So, what practical steps can you take to improve in this area? Prioritize clarity over speed. As I just demonstrated, speaking quickly isn't the same as speaking clearly. To enhance your clarity and overall fluency, consciously incorporate small pauses into your speech. If you listen closely to me, you'll notice that I use them frequently. I use them between sentences, and if I have a long sentence, I might use them between groups of words or a single thought. I also use them before and after words that I want to emphasize. Each of those pauses provides me with several benefits. It allows me to breathe, which is crucial. It helps me maintain a sense of calm, enabling clearer thinking, and it gives me a brief moment to consider my next words, ensuring I choose the correct vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. This holds true in both my native language and my second language. Finally, it adds clarity to my speech, making it smooth, natural sounding, and easy for you to understand. That's important. If you and I are going to have a conversation, or if I want to share something important with you in this lesson, I need to ensure that my speech is easily comprehensible. If I speak too quickly all the time, you'll miss the important details. I won't be able to breathe, and I'll quickly lose focus. And I'll also make a ton of mistakes. Now, if you're still unsure about this, I have a challenge for you. I want you to watch a skilled public speaker, perhaps someone you admire on a podcast or a TED Talk speaker. You'll notice that effective communicators embrace the use of pauses. Let's debunk another common myth, that confident English speakers never ask for clarification. You might think that requesting someone to clarify their statement indicates weakness or a lack of confidence. However, the reality is quite the opposite. Truly confident English speakers readily seek clarification when needed. This demonstrates active engagement in the conversation and a genuine commitment to understanding the speaker's message, a key aspect of active listening in English speaking culture. So, what practical steps can you take? Start by practicing clarification requests in conversations with people you trust. This will help you become comfortable with specific phrases and questions. As your comfort level grows, you'll be more inclined to use these phrases naturally when you genuinely need to understand something better. Here are a few phrases that I find particularly useful when seeking clarification. First, "Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Would you mind repeating what you said?" Second, "I'm not sure I'm following. Could you explain what you mean by..." Or, "Could you give me an example of what you mean by that?" And third, "Would you mind saying that again? I want to make sure I've understood perfectly." These phrases are appropriate whether you're receiving instructions at work, discussing a family matter, or debating a topic. Now let's tackle myth number 4. Confident English speakers are immune to setbacks. They supposedly never make mistakes or stumble over their words. Oh my goodness, this is definitely a myth. I know that I personally stumble over my words, make mistakes, and lose my train of thought all the time. My team can attest to that, and so can my students. In spontaneous conversations, our brains don't always perfectly communicate with our mouths, and we can't always articulate exactly what we intend to say in the moment. We forget things, we trip over our words, and our minds go blank. These things happen to everyone, even the most skilled communicators. However, with consistent practice, you can minimize the frequency of these occurrences. You can gain better control over your speech and learn techniques to regain control when you feel like you've lost your train of thought. In fact, I recently experienced this within my Confident Women community. I was sharing an update on how to use a progress journal, and I completely blanked on the word journal. Journal, such a simple word, but my mind went blank. For a brief moment, I felt a little panic, silly, and embarrassed. But then I used the strategies I know to regain control. First, I took a deep breath to calm down. Then I tried to find an alternative way to describe the document. As I explained it in a different way, the word journal eventually came back to me. This happened because I stopped panicking, calmed down, and found a way to move forward. This is a skill you can develop through practice. More importantly, confidence arises from knowing you have the ability to overcome setbacks. So here's some practical advice. Practice speaking in a safe environment where it's okay to make mistakes and where you can practice using skills to overcome those mistakes. As a perfectionist and an introvert, I often prefer to organize all the details in my mind, have everything ready to go, and feel prepared before I speak. I don't enjoy making mistakes, and I don't necessarily love the advice that I should just practice with anyone and not worry about errors. The truth is, I do worry about them, and I don't want to make them, but they inevitably happen. It's perfectly natural to feel annoyed, frustrated, or even silly or embarrassed when they do. When mistakes occur during speaking, the best course of action is to pause briefly, take a deep breath to calm down, and regain control. Give your brain that moment to catch up. You can then either correct the mistake or move past it. For example, you can go back and clarify if necessary, using a sentence starter like, "Oh, what I meant to say was," or, "Oh, I'm sorry, what I meant to say was," or, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to say," and then continue. If you feel comfortable, you could even make a joke out of the situation. For instance, "Sorry, I think I had too much coffee this morning." In a more casual setting, you can simply say, "Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. I meant to say," and then insert the correct word or idea. That's precisely what I did when I forgot the word journal. On top of all of that, there's one more crucial element. Find a safe space where you can practice speaking, allow yourself to make mistakes, and learn how to overcome them. So I encourage you to find a speaking community. Find a secure environment where you feel comfortable practicing with others. Maybe there's a colleague or neighbor with whom you enjoy conversing and feel secure enough to practice. Consistent practice will reduce future errors and enhance your comfort level in handling them as they arise. Finally, let's debunk myth number 5, that you either possess confidence or you don't. This perspective presents an all or nothing scenario, suggesting that if you currently lack confidence, it's unattainable. However, that's simply untrue. Confidence is absolutely, without a doubt, within your reach. Every confident speaker started at square one. They mastered the fundamentals of clear communication, practiced regularly, observed their abilities, learned how to overcome mistakes in the moment, and maintained continuous practice to refine their communication skills. Even after gaining confidence, skilled speakers continue to practice because they believe there's always room for improvement. With the correct skills, support systems, and adequate practice, they achieve further progress. At least this is true for me, and it's true for every skilled communicator I know. The reality is that when you listen to a proficient public speaker, an excellent podcaster, or a coworker who speaks English fluently, you're hearing their highlight reel, not the months or years of preparation that led them to that point. Confidence is cultivated over time through practice and exposure to various situations and conversations. So here's my actionable advice. Embrace the confidence-building learning cycle regardless of the skill you're developing. Whether it's learning to play the piano, learning tennis, training for a marathon, preparing for an art show, learning to draw, or creating ceramics, there's a natural learning process and a natural progression to gaining confidence. This confidence-building cycle involves learning, which informs your actions, which improves your abilities, which shifts your self-beliefs, which builds your confidence, and which motivates continued learning. Notice that this confidence learning cycle doesn't advocate learning and then waiting for motivation, waiting to feel prepared, waiting for confidence, waiting for progress before taking action. No, confidence, motivation, and progress all stem from taking action. This means the most effective way to gain confidence in anything, including speaking English, is to take action, repeat the process, and repeat it again. Let me offer 6 recommendations for taking action and getting speaking practice right now. First, join an English-speaking community. This could be an online speaking club or an in-person English-speaking meetup. Second, join a club or a volunteer organization. For instance, you could join an English book club or volunteer at a local art gallery. Third, find a language coach or teacher you trust and feel comfortable with and take a speaking class, either online or in person. Fourth, ask a coworker or neighbor to meet with you regularly for speaking practice. This is something I did while living in France. I found someone I felt comfortable with. We agreed to meet weekly, dedicating 30 minutes to French practice for me and 30 minutes to English practice for her. Fifth, listen to an English podcast or TED Talk. As you listen, write down new words or phrases you'd like to incorporate into your vocabulary. Afterward, practice summarizing aloud what you heard and review the vocabulary you noted. Aim to use that vocabulary while summarizing what you learned. Sixth, talk to yourself aloud in English when no one is listening. This is something I love to do. I often talk to myself in French at home when I'm alone, whether cooking dinner or driving. The key is to take action in any way you can. Start small, Gradually expand your comfort zone and collaborate with others who will support and encourage you. By doing so, you'll experience improved abilities, renewed motivation, increased confidence, and enhanced fluency. In this lesson, I've provided several options for taking that next step. So here's my question. What action step are you committed to taking? What's one thing you can do this week to take action in your English? Share your commitment below. I'd love to cheer you on and assist you in taking that next step. If you found this lesson helpful, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribing to the Confident Speaking podcast to ensure you never miss my daily lessons. See you again in next episode. Take care.